Welcome back, Out of Touch. John, Dustin, and Mitchell. Dustin, as he tries not to laugh as we get another edition of the podcast rolling. Let's start off with a little behind-the-scenes action. Sometimes before we get these shows started, it's a bit of a ritual. I don't even know if ritual is the right word, but it's a bit of. Sometimes it takes us a while to get the ball rolling, and honestly, 90% of the time, it's my fault. And I'm also in a hurry tonight. I really hope I'm able to keep this episode the same length that we normally keep it. But we're recording this. It's about 9:20-ish at this point at night. And after we're done recording this, I've got to drive back to downtown Louisville. It's about 30 minutes away from me. And do a Louisville basketball postgame show. Louisville is terrible in basketball this year. And I probably won't get home until close to 1 a.m. And that is, where I'm at, and I'm excited to be here, and I hope Dustin's excited to be here. We act like he wanted to watch the Pacers game more so than be on this podcast today.
I think we both agree on that.
He's got his new jumpsuit, whatever you want to call it, with him today. What is that called, Dustin?
Quarter zip
jumpsuit. I said it right before we started
early
the show.
2000s. Are we in the Carter 3? Are we in Lil Wayne's?
Also, I also just realized I've got Dustin in the opposite position of Mitchell tonight. But you know what? We're rolling with it. He's in the upper right corner today.
I look good down here. So, but do you know why I was laughing so hard? Is because the behind the scenes thing, before we started, John was very flustered and I was laughing at him.
Yeah, and this is literally almost every time we record the show, I feel.
But what was even funnier is as soon as he hit play, my dog started lapping up water, as he always does. So it just makes me laugh because he always picks the most inopportune times to start drinking.
We love it, though. And Mitchell, you're in Grand Rapids again. Last time you weren't on with us last week. I believe you were in Grand Rapids then. It was when all the snow was coming down. I believe it's probably a snowless Grand Rapids this time around. Am I correct?
It's actually, there's some snow on the ground. So last week I was actually in Detroit. I'm going to be spending a bunch of time in Michigan over the next couple of months. So my guess is I will be coming to you live from some city in Michigan, getting ready for work tomorrow. But we got a dusting, as they call it, which was like 6 inches of snow today. Not the same kind of dusting that I would think of.
Like a half an inch.
Yeah, it was a little snowy today. It's supposed to warm up. We're going up to Traverse City tomorrow for work. I wish it was vacation, but hopefully the warmer temperatures stay, because if it gets a little snowy up there, things can get a little dicey, and I would prefer that not to be the case. I got to make some money, so I got to go to offices, and if I can't do that, what's the point of me being up here?
Exactly. I would probably question your sanity if you were going to Traverse City on vacation in the middle of January.
Skiing.
Oh,
is there skiing in Traverse City?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's not in Traverse City, but there's Boynes up here. I think it's called Crystal Mountain. There's some it's not Colorado or Vermont or Utah type skiing where it's the Rocky Mountains, but there's bigger hills, and you can at least get a couple minutes out of a run. And it's much cheaper, which is important. It gives you something to do, at least something that's semi within reach during the winter in the Midwest that gives you something to do.
That's a good point. And it's a good spot to go if you're like me and not good at skiing, but just want to still go. Like, you don't have to deal with some of those places do have like a Black Diamond, which is the highest level, but most of them are pretty small.
Yeah, it's in between beginner and intermediate. It's like advanced beginner. If Perfect North in Southeast Indiana, is beginner level, this one is a little bit more advanced than that. I've only ever been to Boyne. I don't remember. I think it was Boyne Highlands is where I went. But there's nothing too crazy. You can't really you can definitely get out of control, but you can't get on something that is way out of your hand. Like, you have to call someone to come get you. You can pretty much get down from anywhere if you have to. I'm a snowboarder, so even if you have to take off your board and walk, you can pretty much make it down. You're not going to get on some cliff that you got to get a helicopter to get you.
You see, I've never skied or snowboarded, and I've always thought snowboarding would be cool, but I feel like I'm at the age where, like, because I've not done it and I'm already 26, it would just be embarrassing to go and try to do something like that and look like a fool doing it.
No.
It's fun. It's not like, I would say it's harder to be competent at snowboarding just because you have to understand how to not be in the middle of the board so it just twists 360s. You have to stay like on the edges. I'm definitely not an expert by any means, but skiing's a little more accessible to someone that's never done it before. I would say it's probably harder to be really good at skiing though than it is at snowboarding. So if you go, and maybe we'll have an out of touch trip, I'll have you guys meet me up here before all the snow goes away, and we can teach John how to ski, and we'll put it on TikTok or something.
It'd be really bad. Speaking of TikTok, follow us at Out of Touch Media. So far, I've been very pleased with how it works. Again, I don't know if our numbers to me, the numbers look good, but I also don't know what's good and what's bad on TikTok. So appreciate those who have found us and, maybe who already watch and also follow us on TikTok. That's great too. The struggle will be getting people who find us on TikTok to watch the YouTube show, because most people who watch the TikTok clips, and I'm guilty of this myself, like they just like watching clips of podcasts because that's like the funny moments or the good moments and that kind of stuff. But if you want to find us on TikTok, you can do so at Out of Touch Media. Also subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Get us to that 100 mark. It doesn't mean anything, but it would just be a nice little milestone to hit. Also, hit the hotline, 502-830-9195. We're going to be doing that a lot today. It's going to be a very hotline-driven episode. Last week, Dustin and I were talking bad jobs, some of the worst jobs that we've had, and I wanted people to call in about that. We got a few calls of people answering that particular question, and then we've also got some other things that we may get into from the hotline as well. So thanks to all those who did call, and if we don't get to your call this week, it'll depend on time and where the other calls take us conversation-wise. But if we don't get to you this week, then we'll try to get to you next week. So shout out to all those who called in. Mitchell, real quick, since you weren't a part of last week's episode, do you have a specific job, or did you ever have a specific job that you just absolutely hated and it stood out as the worst one you ever had?
I don't think I just had a deja vu like crazy just now. I want you to know that was the strangest. That I haven't had that happen in a long time, but I swear I've been in this
good topic for the future.
I have been in this position before in my life, 100%. But moving on from that, I can't even say it was a bad job. I mean, there's a lot of people that are super successful with this. I just knew I would be terrible at it. Straight out, actually, it wasn't straight out of college. I just got back from Germany, and I was looking for something. I was just ready to start making money, start working. So I joined on at Northwestern Mutual, and I went to one training. And before they even finished the introduction, I was like, I'm good. I don't need this. So, but after the training, I basically told them, hey, I'm good. And then never came back. So I don't know. I think that's a good job for a lot of people. That's not like working, I don't know, on skyscrapers, cleaning the windows or something, but I would have been terrible at that job.
The only thing I know about Northwestern Mutual is that I feel like they sponsor a lot of at least in the past, they've been the sponsor of like bowl games or
Oh yeah. It's a phenomenal company. They've been around for 7 billion years. Like, I'm pretty sure who's the guy that invented that had the key? Benjamin Franklin. I think he was like
I don't think he invented the key.
He used Northwestern Mutual for like all his stuff, I think.
Northwestern Mutual was around when they invented the wheel too.
I'm telling you, the cavemen, they had to protect their cave somehow, and that's how you do it.
Speaking of cavemen, have you noticed that they're bringing back the Geico caveman in those commercials?
No, I haven't seen it, but I can't wait. Those commercials were great.
I'd totally forgotten that he was a thing. I always associate the gecko with Geico.
So somebody that is a friend of the show, perhaps his name is Dustin's acquaintance.
He called us, by the way. I'll go ahead and spoil that.
Okay, I'm not going to get into the specifics of his job. I can say he's a teacher, and he says that he has a student that kind of looks like caveman, and so every time he sees those commercials, that's just what he thinks of now.
I assume he's like a 4th grade teacher.
No, high school.
See, I thought he taught
I'm
high
just
school
kidding. He
whenever
has some
talked about
4th
AI.
grader that's super mature.
You know what? That joke just completely flew over my
Yeah,
head.
it was a miss. It was a swing for the fences, and I struck out. And that's okay.
I'm the one that struck out. That's a good joke. It's later than we usually record, so I'm off my game today.
That's fair.
I also,
appreciate you
speaking
making
of
me feel
swinging,
better.
I know I've been talking about this for a few weeks. I finally swung my shot. That doesn't make any sense. I finally took my shot. I swung for a guest. I'll say it like that. And it hasn't completely been confirmed yet, but I reached out to a band that I'm a fan of, a very small band called Echo Stone. They're from North Carolina, or just the Carolinas in general.
Giving away the goods for free. You didn't even tease it. We got to work on that. We have a special guest.
I'm not done though.
If you like music.
Well,
No. We're gonna workshop this right here on the
that's
air.
fine. We can workshop it. What do we do wrong here?
So no, we didn't do anything wrong, but you got to get a little tease.
Oh,
They're
I
maybe
was
gonna
teasing.
come
I was
on the
gonna-
show.
We
We
might
might
it in.
We're pretty
I know.
excited.
I know. I gave the name, but I was going to just slowly talk about who they are, or what they do, and that kind of
That
thing.
was
And
for
I know,
the interview. We set it up
true.
when we get them on the interview.
anyway,
Come
the band Echo Stone. I finally swung at asking them. I did it yesterday before we recorded this,
That's what I'm talking about.
or I guess the day before we recorded this, and they got back to me within a very good amount of time. So the time in which I'm going to record with them is not confirmed, but the plan, if it is between now and the release of the next episode, is that if I do the interview with them, is that we'll do our regular podcast episode, me, Dustin, and Mitchell, and the back portion of the show is going to be the interview with them. So I still need to workshop how that's going to work, but
Feels
that's
like
kind
we're
of the
getting
plan
cut
for
out a
now.
little bit here, Mitchell.
Well, I talked to Mitchell about it, and here was my thought process. I know that this isn't something that I don't want to. This is, I guess, it's like my baby. The whole interviewing bands kinds of thing, and
Yeah.
I don't want you two to feel like you're interviewing something that you don't give a shit about. Excuse my language, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I get you.
I like it. I think
Mitchell
it's
thought it was a
gonna
good
add
idea. I didn't know how you would respond.
Yeah,
to it,
it's
though.
it adds a little curveball for people that are
And there'll
getting
be
worn
times
out.
where we do guests, and I'll
Yeah.
make sure that I incorporate all three of us. But with this one in particular, especially since it's the first one,
Yeah,
and I also have I've toyed with the idea of making the music interview something totally separate from Out of Touch. Maybe down the line, not initially. I'm going to make it one thing, but it just depends on how well it meshes with the rest of the show. Is kind of what I'm trying to workshop. Anyway, there's
that's
again
3 uses of the word workshop. I used it once. You used it twice. That's very corporate of us.
very corporate.
This is a
of
corporate
us.
podcast.
And I didn't expect us
Unless
to have
you're
another
corporate.
in-show meeting, but that's just exactly what happened.
Unless you're Northwestern Mutual.
Yeah, I got on my.
that
You
level
want
of
to buy some
corporate.
insurance? No. Okay. Well, I'll
Mitchell
be
does a
perfect.
great job at making me uncomfortable, but I think it's good for the show, right? It's good for you to make.
I didn't
me
mean to make you uncomfortable.
No, it's a good.
Usually I do, but that time
Yeah.
I didn't.
You push the buttons, which is
Yeah.
fine. It's a good thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I just think we needed to leave a little bit of a tease.
I
We
should
might
have done
get
a better
something
job. It probably
different
wasn't
coming.
that good of enough tease. I mean, here's the point, though, and nothing against them, but like nobody knows who Echo Stone is. I found these guys because of an Instagram algorithm last year, and I've been following along with them for a
All right,
year.
are you ready
and-
for this? I'll tease it right
Go
now.
ahead.
I'll tease it right now. So you started off with, don't want to give anything away, but we might have something coming a little different. We're in the works. You guys know how much I like music, how much I like maybe not the most popular music, and I like listening to stories of people that are trying to make it. We may have somebody coming. I don't
There you
want to
go.
give anything
Mitchell did it
away.
for
We're trying
us.
to set up everything, but could be coming.
See, you're the real brains of the show.
That was actually pretty good. I wasn't
This is
sure where I
why
was
you're
gonna
in the
go.
top right corner of the video today.
I got a little bit nervous when I said that. I thought I would just fall on my face. That was not as bad as I was thinking.
That was good. That was good, especially because you backed up all of the talk, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was. We'll take notes on that.
Look at that.
We'll
He,
workshop
feel
it.
the pride is overflowing with him right now. He's feeling good, which
Yeah,
I like.
that's
when
what I
people
do
feel
every day. What I just did is what I do every single day. Every day. That's what the conversation I have with a front desk person that doesn't want me there every day. Isn't that
There you
weird?
go.
Like in my career right now, I'm in sales. And essentially, I have to go through a gatekeeper every place that I go into because now I moved into a new territory. I don't have the relationships. So I'm typically going to someone as soon as I walk in there, they know why I'm there. They don't want me there. They're busy. They don't care what I'm talking about. And somehow, I, along with hundreds of thousands of other people in the world, have to find a way to get them to give me like 3 minutes and care about what I'm saying. That's all I'm after. 3 minutes. When you break it down like that, that's pretty sad. Just give me like 3 minutes, man. That's all I need. It'll make my whole life. I have to act like I don't need it, but I need it. Like I need you to give me that. But I
You don't want to sound desperate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's set up for like the world's best "that's what she said" joke.
Yeah.
Everything that was just said.
It says it without saying it. It did.
Real quick before we get into calls, and I was going to bring back town names since all three of us were here today, but because we're short on time, I mean, maybe we'll do it towards the end instead of the beginning. But I do want to get into the calls, just because I do know that they may take up more time than they normally do. But one thing, Mitchell, and we can cut this if we need to, but do you have a baby update for us?
Yeah, it's going to be a girl. We don't have a name, but we're having a baby girl in probably late June, and we're so pumped. I can't wait. I thought I wanted a boy. I've thought I've wanted a boy since the moment that I found out, and we did the test or whatever, and we got the email. As soon as I got the email, so I was a girl. Can't imagine having anything but a girl. Like
so you didn't do any sort of special reveal. You just got the email.
Yeah, I was playing Xbox or video games. So I did. I had my headphones on, and Laura was like, "We got it," and I went, "What?" And that was our big reveal. So yeah, no, we didn't really do anything. I was playing with my cousin. He was the first one to find out because I had the microphone, and that wasn't even really by design. He just heard her say it through the mic. Yeah, there was no poppers with the blue smoke or pink smoke. Oh, sweet! It's a
By the
girl.
way, what do you guys think of that? Because I'm pretty indifferent about it. I think whenever those things first became popular, the gender reveals, I think everybody thought it was over the top at first, but now that it's become kind of the norm, I don't think it doesn't really bother me anymore. But do y'all have any strong thoughts on people doing those gender reveals?
I'm gonna let you go.
I don't mind. Like, to me, it's do whatever makes you happy, right? Like, however you want to celebrate that news is great. The only thing is, like, I don't know why people do like dangerous things when they're trying to reveal. Like, I would like to be alive when my child is born, so I don't know why people are out shooting bow and arrows or guns or whatever. But other than that, I'm fine with it. Like, there's some ridiculous things you can find on Instagram or TikTok about how people.
Oh my god, yeah.
do gender reveals.
Like, it's went from cutting a cake that was either going to be pink or blue on the inside to now they body slam each other through a table and the table explodes in the color.
That's what Bill's Mafia does for gender
That's
reveal,
a Bill's Mafia thing for sure. I'm kind of the same. Like, I don't care. I just am I spend money on a very certain set of things.
Golf.
Nailed it.
Golf.
My wife, mostly. Spend money on her. Anything that she wants, let's do it. And that's really it. Like, I can't think of anything else I spend money on.
Golf and the wife.
Yeah, that's it. Video games, kind of. Like, I'll buy the game, but I'm not going to put any more money in there. And anything that's excess, like, it feels wasteful. I don't know. I'm trying to keep all my money, not blow it in a literal puff of smoke.
If you have any baby name suggestions for Mitchell, leave it in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to.
Definitely leave that. That's a comments thing, but we've got a top 3. I'm not going to reveal, but
that was my question. Teaser. I didn't want you to reveal, but I was going to ask if you had it narrowed down to a couple names.
We've got a 3 that we like, but we've got till June. So a lot can change. If you've got some ideas,
maybe you can help him narrow it down by suggesting an idea that's in his top 3.
Yes.
You don't know about.
Yeah, I think we can make all kinds of things, but I would like to hear, if you give a suggestion, tell me why. And it can be that I just like that name, or it was this person that was the first lady of the state of Indiana, and 1816 when it was founded. I think that like just what give me some reason. I'm just curious. I would want to know.
I do have this is a legit question because other friends have told me that one of the, I don't know if it's the hardest thing, but like they'll go through names and they'll be like, nope, I knew that person, jackass, can't be that name.
Yep.
Like they just went through like a list of names that they couldn't have because they knew somebody that they didn't like that had that name. Have you run into that issue?
Laura would be better to ask.
He's like, I'm not going to
in her mind she has like, nope, can't have that. I assume it has something to do with any girl that I've ever dated. That name is probably Nick's. That one probably got Nick's first, but I'm sure there's some other ones that maybe she had friends in high school that I don't know, or whatever. So yeah, I'm sure. And I have some names in my head that I just don't like.
Sure.
I'm not going to say it at risk of alienating one of our 4 listeners, but I want to hear what you guys think, because there's so many cool names, so many pretty names. I like something. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I like something that can be shortened into a quick, like 1-syllable nickname,
like Mitchell or Mitch, that kind of thing.
But something cooler than that, like Mitch to Mitchell. Cool. I've always gone by Mitchell, and Mitch that was my friend growing up. So it sounds weird in my ear, but let me think.
Stu.
Well, what's funny is the only names I can think of right now are the 3 names that we have. Those are the only names that get shortened that I can think of. So I can't think of anything outside of those.
What about
like
Brooklyn versus Brooke? That's not one of your 3 names.
But it's quicker. Typically it ends in an S.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost just said it again. We need to change topic.
Well, we'll go ahead and move. Let's go ahead and move into these callers. We've got quite a few to get through. And
let's do it.
We're going to go ahead and start off with Dustin mentioned Dustin's acquaintance earlier, and he did call us with some thoughts about some of the worst jobs or one of the worst jobs he ever had. So I'm going to let that roll right now.
Hey, guys. This is Dustin's acquaintance here. Bad job. Worst job I've ever had. I worked for a scholarship foundation for a certain Big Ten university that I will leave unnamed, and it was the job where you are calling random alumni asking for donations to the scholarship fund. It was honestly the most soul-crushing thing I had to do, because you were forced to ask like 3 different times in like descending orders of money, starting at the highest to the lowest that you could go. And it didn't matter what sob story they gave you, you had to still keep asking. And it was just like, whether, and basically they had like a time period where if something had happened to them, you gave them maybe 2 to 3 months. And if it was past that 2 to 3 month time period, you still had to ask for money. So like, if people had lost their homes, if people had lost a loved one, it didn't matter. I did it for about 3 weeks, and then was just like, I just didn't show up to work again, because I couldn't keep doing that to people. So absolute worst thing I've ever done. Have a great day. Thanks for the podcast.
There it is. Dustin's acquaintance.
That's a tough one to top.
That's tough.
We talked about swinging for the fences. That was a home run. Terrible, terrible job to start off these calls. The last 4, I feel bad for. They got to live up to that. I
believe only 3 of these are job related. 3 of the 5.
But
I want to go in a cocoon and never come out after listening to what that job is.
So that is on a different level. But I did sales for a little bit of time. I hate talking on the phone. I had to do cold calls. I'm assuming you have to do cold calls too, Mitchell. Like that.
Oh yeah.
Like that alone gives me so much anxiety. So having to do that when there are circumstances that these people are dealing with and stuff like that, that just magnifies it to the nth degree.
I think sales is different though, because you are at least offering something in return. Like if you give me money, I will give you this. That is give me money and we promise the university will be better. Like right. It just goes into the abyss. You can use it for your taxes. Son, I don't know if you listen, but my house literally burned to the ground. Right. Yeah, but if you give this much,
we We can get
One thing I'm
resources
curious
studies.
about is, did he know what he was walking into when there's no way he knew that this was what he was going to be doing, because
No,
nobody
because-
No, you
wants
just
to do
think you
that.
work for the alumni association. Yeah,
and
that's ground level, dude. That's tough.
And I think when people, again, we don't have to spend all day here, but at least for me, when I went into sales, like it was a little nervous. And again, that's obviously different because, like Mitchell said, they're getting something in
At least
return,
something. Yeah.
right? When
Even if
I
it's
went
not
into
good.
sales, I went into it and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be easy. People will want this product. They don't want the product at all."
You
So
can
now
have
nobody
the
wants to
best
have to spend
product,
money.
Justin.
what?
That was a lot
So
of
nobody
talk.
wants to have to spend money.
Well, people don't want to have to spend money, and people just don't think it's worth their time. They're like, my business has survived this long without this product. Why do I need it?
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to my day. Every day. No, I don't care about this. Are you sure? It's way better. Is it?
But
Maybe. I don't know.
so I'm thinking that when you walk into like something like that, you just think, oh, I'm going to talk to all these people who are going to love to give money to XYZ University because they went here, or they're season ticket holders, or they have a special connection with the department, or whatever the case might be. Nope, you're just calling people no matter what, and they're in a good, bad, or indifferent mood.
I can't imagine. Sales is 100% the last profession I would ever want to do in my life, because
Well, wait,
I feel like I'm
one that tops it. You don't know yet.
I feel like I am so bad at even selling myself sometimes. Like, I am so much of a self-deprecator, hopefully not to the unhealthy extent that I think it might be. But the fact that I'm not confident in myself enough, how could I be confident in something else? And then on top of that, give off the confidence that I believe in whatever I'm selling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I've sold things that I did not believe in, and you can be the best salesperson, and I'm definitely not the best salesperson, but you can be the best salesperson on the planet. And if you have something that you don't actually believe is worth buying, you may sell a couple, but you're not even going to get to 50% of your potential. Versus if you do believe in something, then it becomes not even sales. Then it becomes like, you need this because it will change your life, and I truly believe it because it did mine, or something like that. But what I'll tell you is, I would say any salesperson that doesn't say before they were in sales, thinking about going into sales, well, I'm going to say this two ways. One, if they had a brain, they were probably really nervous when they first started, really scared, especially if it's cold calling. You can't see the person. In-person sales is so much easier than something over the phone. You're calling them from a number they don't know, especially in today's world. They are already mad that you're calling them. So you're starting from behind the eight ball. In person, which is mostly what I'm doing, it's email, some pick up the phone and call, but it's mostly I show up, I'm here. It's a lot harder to kick someone out in person. But the flip side of it is, typically the dumbest people go to sales, hence why I'm in sales. So I bet there are some people that were just kind of too dumb to even be nervous. They're like, okay, I'll just pick up the phone and find somebody that I'll just call until somebody says yes. I don't care if they say no a zillion times.
I was the most confident person in sales in the world until somebody picked up on the other end of the phone, and I stuttered so much.
Well, how long did you do it?
I did it for
How long did you do it?
probably a year. I was in.
Oh, you were still stuttering after a year?
Oh, no. I meant like,
Oh, okay.
I was so confident like before I started, and then like I was like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I got the list of clients, potential clients, XYZ. Pick up the phone, phone's ringing, and then as soon as somebody answered, I could feel those butterflies in my stomach.
Oh my God,
they're gonna hang up on me.
I spent the first 3, maybe 4, 8 months hoping that I would get a voicemail. Like,
yes, that is the best feeling in the world. Is
I've
when
got my script.
Voicemail. Yes.
I've got my voicemail script down, and I'm already reading through it as the phone's ringing. It's like they interrupted me. when they answer the phone. It's not like that anymore, but it definitely was like that early on. That's
Let's
so funny.
let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and move forward. Just keep the ball rolling. I'm sorry if I feel like
Sure.
I don't want to feel like I'm rushing through these, but my mind is.
It's fine, dude.
is
You're a
on time
grinder. You got to
crunch.
go back to work till
I
1
hate it.
a.m.
I hate it because I'm gonna go and say this. I will take time to say this. I love doing this podcast, and the fact that other things get in the way, and when I have a long day that I sometimes do, and this is abnormal, like having to leave and go back to work for me. But when I have to go away from doing something that I genuinely enjoy, it takes away from the enjoyment of this. And I don't want that to be reflected in the, into the show, because that's what makes me frustrated, because I'm trying to enjoy it so that everyone else can enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I was very excited about this show in particular, just because of the things that were, we had a lot of responses and stuff. Anyway, and I'm not going to keep dwelling on it. I'm just going to move forward.
This is a call to action. This is a perfect time for sales right now. Listeners, listen to John. If you tell even 2 people to listen for the next 2 weeks straight, 2 people a day, that's it. Someone you see at the grocery store, your mom, your brother, I don't care who it is. You tell 2 people every day and make sure they listen for 2 weeks. That's 28 people per listener. You tell them to tell 2 people. This is all of a sudden becomes a multi-level marketing thing, and we have millions and millions of followers, and then we don't have to listen, or John doesn't have to go back to work because he can make money from this. If you want us to be happy, tell your friends.
And then
if you
we're
want
a
us to be
pyramid
miserable, don't.
Salespeople will be calling us.
Was it the
Hi, this is Mitchell with
Prince of Egypt is
Verizon.
calling you?
I'd like to sponsor your podcast, please. Mitchell, you're on the podcast.
Yeah, hi, this is, absolutely. We put Cartessa right up in the top right corner.
All right, let's. Is Cartessa? Is that who you work for now? I thought you worked for SIG.
That's who it used to be, but
I gotta
was
say,
so
it
bad
is a
at that
damn
job.
shame that you don't work for SIG anymore now that Indiana football has Signetti.
This
That's
is
a big miss.
devastating. I'm glad I didn't know this beforehand. I would have been devastated if the head football coach, if I had known the head football coach was Signetti and you worked for SIG. Oh,
To be fair, it was SIG, not CIG.
Okay, no one
it
called it
doesn't
SIG.
matter.
No, I know. I work for Cartessa. Tessa means family in Italian. We're a big happy family, as all
Tessa.
multi-million-dollar companies are. Just one big happy, everybody loves each other family.
All right, 502-830-9195. That's the hotline number. Let's go back to it for another caller.
Yeah, this is Willard.
Real quick,
This one,
Willard's called before. He's the guy who
Yes.
poops with the door open. For those of you who have listened to the show for a
Yeah,
long
I
time.
In case we
That
forgot.
one well.
to say, I think I'm suffering from burnout. And it ain't really the marijuana kind. It's just the dumbasses that I have to work with continually, week after week, year after year, over and over. Get on my goddamn nerves. And I truly think I'm suffering from burnout. And like I said, not the marijuana kind. I've tried that a few times and I like it. I partake in that a little bit. But if I get caught at work, there you go. You get fired. That's another thing that pisses me off. They take my goddamn rights from me. I just start to feel like I shouldn't even have to work anymore. Just sit around the house. Or hell, do what you guys do. That'd be a nice gig.
Well, thank you, Willard, for calling.
I love this guy. He's absolutely right, man. There are jobs, and I think this generation of people are different. Like, I don't know very many people that have been at a company longer than even 10 years. But there's a generation of people not that long ago that spent like 50 years working for the same company and like got 3 promotions in 50 years, which is awesome. Like, that's great. Got your pension. You had to work with the same dorks every day for 50 years. I can't even be around my best friends for 2 weeks at a time. Can you imagine some guy you hate talking about the same thing for 50 years?
Isn't this? Have you guys seen Office Space?
I was thinking the same
know, I
thing,
haven't
dude.
seen Office
You all of a
Space.
the
sudden
office building down.
lose your mind, man. Yes.
I also.
Yeah, we're gonna need.
Yeah. I was told I could listen to the radio from a reasonable volume from 9 to 11. Look, I don't know who Willard is. His comedic timing cracks me up every time. I cannot, like, there are tears in my eyes every time he's called.
We
Yeah.
love
Comedic
Willard.
timing is
Yeah,
well
he
done.
doesn't. He doesn't have to keep going to work, man. Just go find an open mic
Yep.
and just stand up there and just talk about stuff. And like that's it. His delivery's phenomenal. He bounces all around.
Yep.
He had no plan when he called, by the way. No plan. I'm a huge fan. He can call he doesn't even have to have a reason. You just call and talk about stuff that's happening to you, Willard, and we'll talk about you on the show. We may even need to speaking of
We may
special
need to have
guests.
Willard
He
guest.
could be a
Yeah.
guest. Yeah.
Oh, little teaser. Willard, get yourself ready. Have some stuff happen to you, and we're gonna bring you on, and we want to hear about it. Not
Do you
bad
all
stuff.
remember
Just
Quiet
don't get
Quitting?
fired. Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm a huge fan.
You're a fan of the
Hilarious.
quiet quitting?
I think it's so funny. Like just to stop doing work and continue to collect a check is the funniest way to quit a job. I can't think of quitting anything.
Because really what it
Any other
is,
day.
like it's obviously not quitting, but what it is, it's like, you know what? Why spend time? Really, what it is, why waste money quitting? Because if you decide to quit your job by simply not doing your work and then eventually getting fired, then you're owed severance depending on who you work for and how long you've been there.
Well,
Obviously,
you're just
but-
collecting that 2-week check, dude, and you're on the mountain. Think about, I mean, I wish I was doing this. I'm not, unfortunately, but you can just be going up to Northern Michigan on Cartessa's dime, staying in hotels, like chilling, dude.
Not only that, depending on where you like, I think Indiana's still a right to work state, which means they can fire you for any reason. But so many companies have like policies in place where they can't fire you immediately unless you do something egregious.
You have to talk to the HR. You have to go through the program. You have to get put on this. Yes, and it's 8 months.
You could do nothing and just be good for like
Milk
at least for 2 months.
Milk them. It's so good. I think it's terrible. Terrible for American business. Terrible for the economy.
It's
Yeah.
also terrible for your coworkers.
Terrible. Terrible for everyone involved but you. Hilarious for you. In isolation, hilarious.
By the way, I should have put a disclaimer out there before we played Willard's call. If you do have children listening to this podcast, which if they still are, I'm sure you've already told them to leave after that phone call, but you may need to continue to do so.
It gets worse.
Well, then so this next one is, I mean, it's more than likely a joke phone call. It's very short, but you know what? We're just gonna go and let it play.
This is Lloyd, and I hate my job because I don't like pooping in public toilets because of the pubic hair.
Again, I don't know what that means. I don't know. So it's a very
This is a
easy
bigger
call to
problem than
break
people
down.
say.
He hates his job because he doesn't like pooping in public toilets. So he is insinuating that his job is pooping in toilets, or maybe the job that he has requires him to poop in like a,
I don't
An
think that's
outhouse.
what he's saying at
I
all,
don't
dude.
think the
I
job's
think,
requiring him to do that at all.
Then-
I don't think.
I think my guy just goes to work and there's only one bathroom at work, dude. I think is what is happening here. Yeah. I just don't think they have each
for some
Yeah,
reason. So I screened
I think
this
he had
all these calls today, and
gross
thankfully you all are the
miscalculation on
voice of
John's
reason. And
Yeah,
I
you gathered from
legitimately
that call
thought
that-
this Lloyd person was trying to tell us that he poops in public toilets for a living.
You
that's a
It
hilarious.
doesn't
we need
make
to
any
talk to Willard.
sense. I'm glad, again, you two being the voice of reason right now. I'm glad you two are here, because if this was a solo podcast, I would have just ran with that and
No.
assumed that's what he was telling us.
Dude,
Wait.
we need to talk to my guy Willard. Willard says he doesn't want to work. If that's a real job, I think we found the dream job for my boy. Like
we should
It's
just
not.
not have said anything and let John roll with it. Like,
I couldn't.
I'm
This
so
is
naive. I'm
fantastic.
such,
Yeah,
I'm
I
such
think my
a-
guy works at an office.
I'm such a
Probably
child.
has been there a long time.
or like a
And-
construction site or something.
Ugh, yeah. If you got to go in the Porta Johns, I
Yep.
think that's a bigger problem than people. I think more people have a problem with public spaces like that than I originally gave credit for before we started this podcast. Because it sounds like you guys don't like doing that either, right?
Using public restrooms, I just don't like whenever you're in a crowded place. And I know
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, and
Yeah.
you're all using, I don't know, you may have a piss trough. I know Memorial Stadium's famous for the piss troughs, and that's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, I get it. I think more people have a problem with it than I thought. And it sounds like Lloyd does as well for different reasons. We're not going to talk about his reason. If you caught it at the end, good for you. We're not going to bring it on, but that is pretty gross. If you got that going on, maybe talk to your coworkers, have them kind of figure out what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's they probably should try to trim it up or something. I don't know.
Sorry if we went down a path that we normally don't go on, but people
Yeah.
do what they do. They say what they're going to say, and I'm going to get into a couple comments from the last YouTube video, and then we'll play the last couple of calls and we'll get out of here. But Tanis Half Elvin says his worst job is his current one. The employer has court February 8th for taking child support out of his check, but never sends that money to child support. They're also not taking out federal income tax. Also, Tanis Half Elvin says landscaping in the rich side of Fort Wayne isn't bad, Dustin. I believe you said that was.
I was not
were
on
you
the
not in
rich
Fort
side
Wayne?
of Fort Wayne. I was in
Okay.
Fort Wayne. I was not on the rich side of Fort. I can promise you, I was not on the rich side of Fort Wayne.
I think landscaping in a rich person's yard is much harder than landscaping in a non-rich person's yard.
That's correct.
They have way more stuff that you have to
Although-
move, and they have way higher expectations.
I will. So let me clarify too, because there is like this. I don't know if it's stereotype or I don't know what the word would be, but like that only wealthy people pay to get their yard
Stuff
mowed, grass cut,
landscaped, yeah.
landscaped, all that. That's not always necessarily the case. Some people just don't have time because of their job or whatever the case might be. They might have kids. So
Lloyd.
there were just places where we would go, probably Willard's house. Just wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
There were places we would go, we would just mow the lawn. And and weed eat, and that's all we would do. So it wasn't like we were not in a ritzy place very often. There were a few houses, but not very many.
Also, Pete says he shares best and worst job. His best job, intern and summer ticket sales for the Indiana Pacers. Says he wish he could have stayed in that lane.
People love that job. They say it's kind of the similar alumni calling type job. Like the job itself, I don't think is very fun, but I think the people that work there and the perks you get are sick. Like people really love doing that job. I've had a couple of friends do it.
He also says his worst job ever was detasseling corn, and then he lasted 2 days before he quit. Is that like shucking corn? Is that just a different way to say that, or am I ignorant?
I don't know the answer to that either. I assume it's something with pulling the skin off or whatever. I don't know anything about corn except that I eat it. I live in Indiana. How sad is that?
Hey,
I didn't
know any better
sheltered
either.
life if I've ever heard of it. That's a guy that lives in the suburbs. Spent no time on the farm. None.
I lived in the country and I never detasseled, so.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
But that was what everybody in like 7th or 8th grade did. That was what they did for, like $3 and an ice cream cone every day.
Yes. We're really living now, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
All right, I'm gonna play one more call, and I'm gonna leave another one. I'm gonna put it in the bank for next week because we're running low on time. But this next call is actually, it deviates from a different topic, but it is fairly timely, which is why I want to go ahead and knock it out of the way. So go ahead and let this one play.
Yes, I'm calling in. I was just wondering, can you ask anybody in the NFL, or just do you know if the NFL is scripted? What are your thoughts?
So we were having this conversation. I actually know who left this call. And I told him just because he was curious. And so I guess I need to give a little bit of backstory. Person who called this, I told them, Mitchell, that you used to play in the NFL. And we were obviously watching.
Say that. I wouldn't say it was.
You were in the NFL for a year, right? On the scout team for the Chargers.
I signed a contract. I have a jersey that's too big. Does that count?
Anyway.
I don't believe it's too big.
Oh,
so
wait till you see it.
the talk this weekend during the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship is that the NFL is scripted and the Chiefs and the 49ers making it was all a plan, a bigger plan. And he wanted to ask you specifically, Mitchell, that, on your thoughts on if that's really a thing that could be realistic.
It was definitely scripted because they wanted to stop my shine. That's why they cut me. They couldn't have me in the league. I've just exploded in popularity and just been bigger than the Shield.
You think people name their
Realistically,
kids after
no.
you?
What's that?
You think people name their kids after you, Mitchell?
What a weird thought. I sure hope not.
We were talking about baby names earlier.
Yeah, I sure hope not. I don't know. I hope not. If you did, call in. If you know someone that did, call in. And if you want to see me absolutely melt in uncomfortableness, even if you didn't know someone, just do that. And that's a way to get me to melt. But what I'll tell you is all these dudes have contracts with incentive bonuses, and you get more money for playing farther into the playoffs. There's Super Bowl bonuses. And a lot of this, we used to call it, it's a Michael Irvin quote, so I don't feel bad saying it, but when he was just graduating from high school, he was getting recruited by the University of Miami, and maybe had just got to campus, and he was the best slant route runner and catcher back in the days when targeting was not a thing. So he's running into the teeth of the defense, running a slant, and you got to catch that slant to keep everything moving. That's how you keep the offense on schedule. And I promise I'm getting back to the scripted thing, but this is part of it. He used to say, you better catch that slant or you go back to the ghetto. So that slant route put money on the table, put food on the table for his family. So, yeah, these guys are getting paid a bunch of money. NFL money is not guaranteed. So the guys that get cut, the guys that aren't active, you talk about the dude from the Chiefs, Tony, whatever his first name is. He wasn't active in the AFC Championship, so he got no game check. He was probably demoted to, or he got an injured check, so he got part of it, but he didn't get his full game check. These guys are playing average, and kickers are included in this stat for 2.5 years. They have to get their money while they can. There is no chance in any world, because it's so finite, your time in the NFL, and the money is so not guaranteed. You see these mega contracts for the quarterbacks. That is 0.1% of guys. Most of those guys are riding on rookie minimum deals. As soon as they become veterans after their rookie deal, they're probably not getting re-signed because they double in price when you can go get a rookie that's younger, bigger, faster, stronger, won't get hurt, that can do the same thing. Not many guys are getting to that second contract, and then the pension comes in. So you have to get your money while you can. And if I'm thinking about, I'm a special teams guy that's fighting, I'm in my 4th year of my rookie deal, I'm only active half the season, so my contract says $650,000, but I only made $350,000. That's great money, but there are people making $350,000 working regular jobs all over the place. So you're probably not going to make that when you just get done with the league. You got to go back to entry level. You're going to be making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Your life completely changes. There is no way that Roger Goodell is coming in and saying, hey, guys, I know you want to win, and if you win the AFC Championship, every one of you gets a $75,000 bonus, probably more. But Taylor Swift cheers for the Chiefs, and we're going to get way more views if we let them win. So we're going to let the Chiefs win. Now, all you guys on the Ravens, we really appreciate how hard you played. You 4th-year special team guys that are going to get cut and never make another dime in the NFL. Sorry, but this is what's better for the league. That's just not happening. It's just not happening. The money is, it seems massive. There's billions and billions, and these quarterbacks have hundreds of $1 million contracts. 90% of the league, probably more, doesn't even sniff $2 million in earnings. Doesn't even come close to that. So, yeah, they're fighting. No, even if there was a script, they're not listening to that. They're fighting tooth and nail to win that game because of the money that's on the table, especially for a Super Bowl win. Now you're a Super Bowl champion. Now you're definitely getting a second contract somewhere. You're on the best team in the league. Even if you're a special teams guy, you've got that ring. Nate Sudfeld, phenomenal player, has played like 100 total snaps in the NFL, and he's a quarterback. It's a little different. He's an awesome, awesome quarterback, but has never really been a true backup. Won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, is still on the Lions. Now is an AFC champion or AFC runner-up quarterback. He's got probably 4 or 5 more years, even after a torn ACL, because of the runs that they've made in the playoffs. It's life-changing runs that are happening. There's just, and this is a long answer, but there's just no way anyone is telling those guys, hey, don't try as hard. We need more views on the TikTok.
What a great way to end this episode. I didn't know which direction you were going to go, but I feel like that was a really good explanation. So thanks for your thoughts on that, Mitchell. I've got to wrap this thing up really quickly. So sorry for the rushed episode. Hopefully you guys still enjoyed it. I still had fun. I wish I could have been more mentally present, but my mind is in a million directions. And
that's why we're here.
Someday I'm going to figure out a better plan for myself whenever we're
Tell your friends so John doesn't have to go back to work. Tell your friends, listeners. 2 people every day for 2 weeks. Help us grow.
That's right. Thanks for listening, guys. Hit that hotline, 502-830-9195 with whatever the hell you want. You heard some of the messages tonight. We'll play yours as long as you're not completely out of line, but we'll take you a little bit out of line if you want to be. So thanks for listening. Hope you tune in next week. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok @OutTouch Media. We'll talk to you next time.